For those extolling the positives of a multicultural society with no willingness to acknowledge both its benefits and also its now very clear downsides, have fallen strangely silent. Because it's politicians with an almost religious attachment to the idea that diversity is our strength who have been impacted by Britain's troubled experiment. Now, it's my view that the UK is a global beacon of diversity, a tolerant, free and fair country welcoming to all. Name me a more successful integrated society on the planet. It wasn't even a story when Rishi Sunak became our first British Asian Premier. And fair play to him for never playing the race card or making political capital from it. Rishi Sunak understands the trivial, puerile and divisive nature of identity politics. But politicians on the left like Rachel Reeves, Angela Rayner and Wes Streeting, who love a bit of identity politics, have all been aggressively harassed in the streets over their party's position on Israel. Other Labour backbenchers have seen their constituency offices ambushed, have spoken of feeling unsafe at home and in need of round-the-clock bodyguards. Alongside the millions of peace-loving British Muslims in this country who make such a contribution to our society, there is a vocal but powerful and mobilised minority who have run amok on the streets of Britain, hijacking the so-called peace marches with anti-Semitic hate speech, with some of these messages most egregiously projected onto our great national monument of Big Ben. The chaotic Rochdale by-election was a religious and ideological cage fight, not befitting a mature Western democracy. Its winner, George Galloway, buoyed by the Muslim vote, wants to eliminate Israel. Charming. One candidate, Simon Danchuk, claims that he was subjected to death threats, so much so that he had to take his wife out of the campaign for her own safety. And a vote in the House of Commons, the very seat of our representative democracy, cancelled for fears reportedly expressed by Keir Starmer that if Labour MPs voted a certain way, they could suffer violence when leaving the chamber. Too many progressives have denied that there is a problem of parallel societies for years. But fermented in isolated communities, religious, cultural and political extremism is like a hurricane. Yes, it's not a problem until it reaches your house. Decent Labour MPs are now sadly feeling the heat and are being threatened by the mob. Will our likely next Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, perhaps keen not to offend British Muslim voters, be as strong as Sunak was on Friday about extremism? Will Sir Keir Starmer, as the Prime Minister wants to, tackle scandals like the Batley school teacher still on the run with his family after showing students an image of the Prophet Muhammad as an educational tool? Will Starmer tackle the scourge of anti-Jewish hate being spewed in some of Britain's mosques and on those weekly marches? It doesn't bode well, does it, when Sir Keir Starmer himself accidentally and mysteriously, totally by accident, I promise, forgot to wear a poppy when making a video for British Muslims in the run-up to Remembrance Weekend. Worth pointing out he'd been wearing a poppy earlier that day. The vast majority of British Muslims are peace-loving, but it's time to stand up to the dangerous scourge of Islamic extremism, which is an assault on our values, our history, our way of life and our democracy. Will an incoming Labour government do the same? Can we trust Keir Starmer to stand up to this tyranny? I won't hold my breath.